Hello, and welcome to Observations from the Fence Post. I'm your host, Robert, and this is comic book review of the series The Approach, issue number 5. Now, this is the conclusion to this series, so this series has 5 issues, and I'm sure it will be collected in a trade paperback soon. But this is the final issue that I'll be talking about. So overall, as far as the whole series go, I did like it, yet it left some questions unanswered. And so that was a little frustration in reading this, for me at least. In issue number 1, I felt it was going 2 directions. We had what appeared to be a mystery, and we also had what appeared to be a monster. Now, it really didn't delve into the mystery aspect, but it certainly delved into the monster aspect. In fact, this type of monster story reminded me of early 80s monster stories like Alien, the movie by Ridley Scott, or The Thing, the movie by John Carpenter. It kind of had that type of vibe. But the mystery that it kind of set up, really didn't have closure on that one. Maybe there'll be a second arc to this series, which will be interesting. If they have a second arc, I hope they kind of explain some more of the mystery that was presented to the reader in this series. So let's talk about this final issue. Kind of a recap of the overall story is we have an airport in the middle of a snowstorm, and during this snowstorm, a strange plane lands at the airport, and come to find out it had been missing for 27 years. That's the mystery aspect that I was talking about. And throughout the series, what happens is the folks stranded at the airport have to deal with a monster that keeps eluding them and keeps growing and changing and adapting. And here you kind of see the final stage of the monster here on the cover, kind of hidden behind a good image of the snowstorm that the airport is under. So that is kind of the overall arc. Now at the end of issue 4, we have 2 things that I'd like to talk about without great detail. We did have 3 characters of significance in the story that did not make it in issue number 4. And we also had a massive explosion, which kind of ended issue number 4. So we pick up in issue number 5 with our survivors still having to deal with this monster. And this monster is wreaking havoc. As you can see there, here's some of the artwork. It's very consistent with the rest of the series, and it has a good conclusion. It just didn't wrap up the mystery aspect like I was talking about. Specifically, we don't know much about the plane, and we don't know much about the monster. It has been eluded that from one of the characters, Opal, that this monster has been here before, but that's really about it. We don't know much more about this particular monster. Just here's some more of the artwork. Like I said, this concluded the story arc. Now, one thing I did like, one of the characters, Jake, who was the air traffic controller, he is in a wheelchair, and he was in the tower. He had a lot to do in this issue, and that was really good to see him part of the story. At some points in the story, I kind of feel like he was forgotten, not deliberately, but just they were so busy with what was going on the ground that it was real easy to forget that Jake was also stuck all by himself up in the tower. So anyway, they did a real good job of bringing Jake into the end of the story. So overall, I liked it. Was disappointed that we did not get more on the mystery aspect. But the monster part, top notch. So Boom did a good job. This series, again, has 5 issues, so I'm sure it will be collected into a trade paperback soon. But I did enjoy it. It's a good read. I don't want to keep harping on the fact, but I like the monster aspect, but was a little disappointed they didn't dive more into the plane. For instance, the title of the whole thing was called The Approach, and I'm assuming that meant the plane that landed, the mysterious plane that landed. And so I just thought we'd get a little bit more history somehow. I also had speculated that since this plane had been missing for 27 years, that maybe they thought it was some sort of time thing and that they might be able to use it and go back in time, maybe, and reset some of the stuff that had happened. But that was just me as a fan trying to predict the ending. So it was a more straightforward ending. Isolated folks against a monster, and it plays out, and the reader should be happy about that. I'd be happy if they came out with another story arc, because I'd love to learn more about the monster, the history of the monster, and if I could, I'd love to learn more about the plane. So there we go. I'm very happy that Boom Studios, one of the minor publishing comic companies, gave us a good story, and all the creators on it. As you can see here, good job to all the folks involved. And overall, I recommend it. Just you might have the same outlook as I did, that it could have been longer and more questions could have been answered. So that is my review of The Approach. I thank you for joining me. I appreciate it always. As remember, keep it between the ditches, and peace.